When you think about it, faith is one of the most interesting words in any language. Here in San Antonio, the very existence of our church is a reflection of how true faith can be answered by God with spectacular results. From its beginning, our Northside family has been about more than simple everyday professions of faith. No, Northside is about a people stepping out beyond the everyday, about believing in a new future, a new way to create passionate disciples of Jesus Christ.
I've gone back and forth in my life about the importance of the church, but I believe God knew what He was doing when He put together a place where when I'm on top of my game, that there's somebody else who I can come alongside and help. And when I encounter difficulties, I've got someone to come alongside me. And it's a place where the love and the power of God's magnified because of the group that have come together in His service. That's what Northside's about.
When we moved here, it was all about finding community, a community that definitely had the spectrum of support from people older than us and wiser than us, but also that had a children's program that was embracing and also a youth group that was just lively. And we saw all those steps here. And not only because we wanted to gain that here and enjoy that, but that we saw that we could serve in it. And I think that was really important. And this church home wants to be able to embrace people who want to serve, and that's exactly what we felt when we walked in, is the friendliness and definitely the love.
We've experienced a fire recently in November, and the outpouring of love that we received from the church family was unprecedented in my life. And I've been the recipient of a lot of love and caring from church members throughout my life, because of how I grew up and the circumstances of being a refugee family. But the fire that occurred really showed me how much God is working in this church, how much care and loving is given by church members, and how people really act upon their faith and really show concern for me and my family. Because there's people I didn't know, people we only knew as acquaintances, people we didn't know at all, who gave freely to us, who gave us clothes, shelter, a place to stay. To me, that's a great measure of a church, that it's a place where God is working, that it's a great church.
Today, at Northside, we know that as we seek to discover the best in others, by God's grace, we will bring out the best in ourselves. That is why we build. Not only to acknowledge the past, not only for the benefit of those here today, but for those to come. Yes, we are building on faith. It is our next step. Today, God's plan for Northside addresses specific needs that fulfill our call to be the most effective tools for reaching, teaching, and equipping people for service to God. God knows our needs and lays out His plans for us with inspiration and vision of what can be, if only we have the faith to see it through.
The movie that they're going to go to, and they agree on and isn't it wonderful, and we're always in agreement? We like that kind of agreement.
Of course, God's grace has already begun to ripple across our community. We have the land, building plans for new facilities, and some of the money needed to bring this dream of ours into reality. The projected cost for Phase 1 of our new location is approximately $11 million. A substantial part of the cost will be covered by the sale of our existing property and the money we have reserved in savings. To provide the balance, we will need a combination of new funds from the Northside Church family and prudent financing.
Sally and I have been attending this congregation here for over 30 years, and we were there when they purchased this property out here. Before we opened the doors and had our first service. The exciting thing about this kind of church is moving to a new location and exploring all the ideas and different things that you can do in that area. It doesn't mean that you lose what you had at the old congregation. It means that you use what you've learned from the old congregation to improve upon the new location.
You know, it's not the building, it's the people, it's the fellowship. And we're all united in one effort, and we all love God, and we're going to move together, and nothing will change other than having a facility which will allow us to reach out to the community and provide a place where they can come and meet Jesus and love God.
We can do the Lord's work here. We can do the Lord's work anywhere. But in the new building, there's just endless possibilities for what can happen.
Yes, building on faith is all about embracing the passion of Christ and the possibilities that fulfilling such dreams will mean to the Northside family of today and tomorrow. You know, building on faith is a natural extension of being part of a dynamic body of people like Northside. And with that faith, we can imagine how God's vision for the future moves out with a divine rhythm to help us make this possible. More importantly, our trust in God allows us to see how new facilities will bring new opportunities for God's life-transforming grace to touch even more lives throughout our community. Even so, some of us, despite our understanding of all we plan to do, and despite our yearning to make it work, will still struggle over exactly what their gift to the future of our church will be. And maybe that is only right. After all, God never calls us to be comfortable. Instead, He challenges us every day.
I think prayer softens our hearts to be able to do the things that God lays before us. When we're in communication with God, I mean, it can't help but deepen trust, right? You can't help but rely on Him more. You know, I think of the prophets, and I think they were all motivated by the first words of the Bible. And that is that in the beginning, God created. And they knew that everything was God's, and they knew that God was in control. And that's what they preached. But they wanted the people to know that God was the one who was working out His will in the church and in all of our lives. And so, if we don't trust God to take care of us, we're not going to be sacrificial. And I think in terms of giving, it's not really giving unless there's some sacrifice involved. If I'm giving and it doesn't cost me anything, really, then if nothing changes, then that's not really sacrificial. I think our natural tendency is to want to trust in our wealth and the things that we have. I think God understands that. But again, in the beginning, God created. It all belongs to God. And so He's just letting me use what He's given me. So if it all belongs to Him, then I should be willing to give back. If all of us together will stop and open our hearts, pray to God, ask God, God, what do you want to accomplish through us? What can I do? What can all of us do together to accomplish your will? I think God's going to bless that. And I think He's going to show us how we can sacrifice individually, collectively, how we can accomplish His will here in this place.